Hello, webheads, and welcome to another edition of Spider-Man, the Animated Series podcast. I'm your host, Alex Robson, and with me, as always, is my co-host, my brother, comic book artist, and the one true Goblin. It's Mr. Will Robson. Say hello, Will.
Hello, everybody. Why am I a goblin? Just gonna move my
Well,
mic real quick. There's already got bad audio on here. There we go.
maybe your dog is a goblin more than...
Hey,
What? She's a little goblin.
everyone you know is a goblin, mate.
So for the second time, we are streaming live on RobsonINK, INK on YouTube. So for all those joining us, welcome. But if people are listening to it after the fact, obviously you'll be on your podcast platform, but you can also go to YouTube and watch it if you want to see our ugly mugs and see if Will is actually looking like a goblin or not.
See if he's as fat as he says he is.
So I will check the chat, as always, as much as I can, but I got my notes on my phone, and I'm going to be going through our episode review and other things. Today we're reviewing Enter the Goblin, which I'm excited to talk about.
Yay.
Yeah, we'll get to that then, because I know you're sort of not as enthusiastic as I am.
It wasn't
All
bad.
right.
It's just, I don't know, it's not great.
All right, well, we'll wait. So what are you drawing today? Because obviously you're drawing...
I'm going to drink freaking goblin.
You are. I think that's appropriate. I'm actually really excited to see your Green Goblin.
I'll try and do
So,
it in the animated series vein.
Nice. Green Day, hey, hey, boys. Hey, hey, Green Day.
Hey,
How's it
hey,
going?
Green Day.
I'll be drinking wine during this as well, because it's been a week, so I'm going to enjoy myself. But yeah, let's chat some Spidey. So let's go into the whole episode. I will say very quickly and very briefly, we know, and obviously everyone knows, there's a lot going on in the world right now. And most importantly, I hope everyone's keeping safe, especially if they're joining any protests, that they are keeping safe whilst doing it. And simply put, you have my full support for the Black Lives Matter movement, 100%.
Yes.
So, yeah, we hope everyone's keeping safe during it as well. All right, so I just wanted to say that. On with the show. So how's the quarantine life for you?
Well, I went out to an now open garden centre today.
All right, like a typical middle-aged man.
Yes, we do support Black Lives Matter, but we are the whitest people in the world. So yes, today I went to a garden centre.
Which is your privilege. No, I'm joking.
Well, I am privileged to have one in my area. Yes.
Yes. Okay. So, how was the garden centre?
Well, you know what? As someone who's a massive germaphobe like I am, it was lovely because everyone had to stay, 2 meters apart, and there's no dicking about. If you want something, go to the aisle. If you don't, fuck off. So it was great.
Is that what they all said at the garden centre?
That's what I said.
Welcome to the garden centre. If you want something, great. If you
There's
don't,
a couple of
fuck
people
off.
chatting. I was like looking at them in my cart, like, excuse me, I'd like to go look at the rhododendrons.
Not coronadendrons, but the rhododendrons.
No, for God's sake, no.
All right. What else is going on in quarantine life?
Well, we
besides
got some
garden
lovely
centres?
new plants for the garden, you see. Very tall, stand about 4 feet tall, about your height. So that's good.
You little goblin. All right, what else? You got new garden furniture as well. You've been on a spending spree for the garden
I
recently, haven't
have,
you?
yes, I have. Thank you for everyone for their commissions. It's helping me buy a lovely new garden.
Yeah, well, and also, more importantly, pay your mortgage.
Yes,
and other
yes,
things.
mortgage, yes, life payments, yes. But also, I've been buying some new garden furniture, mate.
Well, that's good. And I'll be seeing you. I was going to see you this weekend, but the weather looks really crap, so we've postponed it. But I'm looking forward to seeing you in the flesh.
In the flesh, yeah.
So that'd be good. For me, quarantine life, I'm on my second week of the keto diet, which has been interesting and fun.
Okay.
And it's been going well. And if anybody wants to see as far as the meals and things I've made, they can go on Instagram and look up at Crumb Fly With Me.
Crumb, fly with me.
So yeah, look up Crumb Fly With Me. Crumb like a breadcrumb. Then I've also got a lot going on with work. I've been very busy. Obviously can't talk about anything that I do now these days, and also realised I'm going to have to be very careful going forward about giving my opinions on certain properties and franchises. So I'm in the same boat as you, but I'm working on something really cool with a really cool franchise, and that's all I'm going to say. So I'm really excited to be doing that. I've been watching lots of James Bond recently. Surprise, surprise. But it's been a comfort, and I've been going through my favourite Sean Connerys, Roger Moore's, Timothy Dalton's, Pierce Brosnan's, Craig's. So that's been great. I watch Birds of Prey. Oh, yeah. Also, we've got construction going on at Will's.
Yes,
outside.
everyone in my neighbourhood is doing their garden up just like I am. So my neighbour's installing a whole new back garden, essentially. We chatted over the fence today, as you know, as proper neighbours do. Hello, neighbour. Hello, neighbour. I apologise for the noise. Well, fuck you.
Well, it's a lot going on right now, the bastard. So yeah, apologise for any noise, but it can't be helped because we're live and that's how we're doing it. But yeah, I watched Birds of Prey, and you know what? It wasn't bad. It wasn't great, but it wasn't bad. It's better than Suicide Squad, that's for damn sure. So I enjoyed that. I watched Spider-Man 1 again the other day, which is very fitting considering we're reviewing Enter the Goblin today, and there's so much that they took from this episode and put into the Spider-Man Raimi film. I watched Shawshank Redemption and cried. I've seen it before.
That's not a movie people cry to. It's so weird.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not. When you list movies people cry to, Shawshank is not usually on the list.
Alright, I'm going to ask in the chat and I'll check later, but people in the chat, have you ever cried watching Shawshank Redemption?
I can answer right now, no.
I cry when Brooks has to let his little bird, Jakey, go, and then has to leave the prison, and he's a scared old man out in the big wide world. I felt really, really bad for him, and I cried. And then also, we've been doing family quizzes every week, haven't we?
Yeah.
Which has been fun. So yeah, that's my quarantine life. I thought you were going to speak more there. I took a wine sip. It was poorly timed.
No, I just said, yeah.
Yep, that's the usual response from you. Alright, should we get on with some Kingpin and Smythe?
Let's do it.
Okay, so this week's Kingpin and Smythe scenario has been written in by Jeff Ligon. And Jeff has said, Smythe discovers that Kingpin was once in a porno and confronts him over it.
Okay. I have a Kingpin and Smythe scenario. I have to share it another time. Someone's buying a commission from me, which is Kingpin and Smythe sharing a milkshake and looking lovingly into each other's eyes.
I can't wait.
Which I will be drawing on one of these streams.
Amazing.
And they also sent in a Kingpin and Smythe scenario, so I'll have to send that to you.
Cool. Okay. All right. So here's the setting then, right? So Smythe, do you think Smythe's having a cheeky little wank, right? He's
Wait. So I thought Kingpin finds Smythe on it.
No, Smythe discovers that Kingpin was once in a porno and confronts him.
Kingpin's like, I'm popping out. What would you like? I'm just going to the shops, but you know, I just Chocky Bickies, right? Chocky Bickies. Okay. Cokes, yep, Cokes, right, got that, yeah. Wine, yes, okay. Right, I'll be back, Smythe, I'll be back.
Love you.
Okay, sir. And then what is he like? He's like, okay, Google, it's business time. And the lights all change, and it starts playing like bang, and like, you know, the theme from Better Call Saul, it's like bang, bang, bang.
All right, and then Spider Slayer's like, what? Bring him lube and like tissues.
No, he probably has a Spider Slayer that wanks him off.
All right,
it
so
slays me.
He's doing his business. He goes on his favorite porno site, and then he clicks on a link which says like large.
What is it? Where he searches like what big? What is the
BBW? But it's BBM or something like that.
No, there is an actual thing like BBW is big beautiful woman.
Yeah,
and I think is it big? Just BBM is big beautiful man.
That's what I just said. Yeah. I don't know.
So he types in supersized big beautiful man.
No, it's triple BM. It's big beautiful bald man.
Big beautiful bald man. Yeah. and he sees the usual men he sees, where he's like, "No, don't fancy him today. No, I've seen that one 1,000,000 times."
Can I just say the fact that you're saying this is because this has definitely happened to you a few times where your wife's been like, right, I'm out to the shops, and you're like, it's business time.
Happened yesterday.
Alright, so he clicks on one link where he only sees like the perfect body for him from behind, and he's like, he's bald, big bum, and nice round, large shoulders. Oh, I'm in. And what would be the title of the porno? Like, Large and in Charge.
Yeah, Large and in Charge. Yeah.
Right. So he clicks on it, and he's seeing this guy like go at it. It's from the back.
No, he clicks on it, and it's like a classic setup. There's a skinny guy with the mullet, right? And he's just like, man, this pizza's taking ages. And ding dong, finally! And the door opens, and it's Kingpin with like a Domino's hat on in the front, and obviously the pizza is like down by his crotch. Like, who ordered the extra large sausage pizza?
Now, here's the funny part, right? Is that when Kingpin opens up that pizza box, the pizza's actually all going to be gone, and it's just his dick. Usually there's pizza there, but
he's got like a piece of pepperoni on the side of his lips.
All right, so Smythe then recognizes. He's like, I know that penis anywhere.
I recognize that sausage pizza anywhere.
Sir! So he gets disgusted, he shuts the laptop, and he
doesn't get disgusted. He's like, well, I'm here now.
No, I don't think he'd be like, what the hell's going on?
Why would it disgust... Look, if you discovered a porn and you found your significant other in it, you wouldn't be like, oh, I am disgusted. You'd be like, well, I have to see this through.
I would actually go and confront them first. I wouldn't be like, well, I've got to watch this. You would actually like...
why would you stop to confront? Why would you not see where it goes?
Oh my god. Okay. Well, that's the investigator in you, I suppose. So, all right, he watches it through, whatever. Kingpin comes home, and he's like, hello, little crime. And
I'm sorry, there's no digestive biscuits left, Jockey Bicky, so I had to get these weird vegan things. I know you like vegan, recently, like our coffee shop, so maybe we could put them out on display or something like that. What's that look? Why are you looking at me like that, Smythe?
You want me to do this? Okay. So I was like, I didn't know. Sometimes you go, sir, I don't know how to say this, but, well, come here. And he, like, hover chairs over to his computer and just hits the space bar. And then Kingpin sees himself clearly, and his face is just like, you know how in this episode there's a moment where Kingpin's face is just like a gas? Like, that.
I thought I rid the world of this filth.
It's a dark time for me.
I will explain myself. When I was a young crime doer, I needed a bit of spare cash.
We could go really sympathetic, where it's like,
look, Smythe, in this world, in the crime world, it's very hard to find men that like men, okay? I'm just going to say it.
I was going to go super sympathetic, but I didn't think that was appropriate.
I thought you were going to pull on heartstrings.
Look, his name was Ronaldo, and I fell in love with him, and his long mullet. Oh, how it tickled my whiskers.
And Smythe has the mullet, obviously, so he's like, was it bigger than mine, sir?
It's the reason... Ronaldo, we grew far apart. He didn't like my life of crime, and he wanted me to do good, so I chose crime over him. But you, Smythe, are even better than Ronaldo.
Do you think
because
he's like...
you not only have the mullet, which I absolutely love, and the looks, but you also love me for me and crime for crime.
And also, Smythe, you can't walk out on me like Ronaldo.
Oh, Jesus.
Sorry, I had to do it. Alright, so do you think they then have a moment where... Do you think Smythe would forgive him? Do you think he'd be like...
It's basically... It was Kingpin's sexual awakening that he likes dudes with mullets.
He's like, look, I got paid. I did my business. I got a free pizza out of it as well, which was very nice. You know how I love sausage pizza. And I have no regrets, to be honest. I did try to delete it. I will have to... You'll have to find the uploader. And we'll probably have to...
Well, now he's got Smythe. Yeah, he'll be able to destroy it, won't he? Because Smythe's good with, obviously, technology.
Don't worry, sir. I can get rid of it immediately.
But
he saves a little, like, archive of it.
Yeah, Smythe saves one copy. And not as a, just in case I need to leverage this one day, but as a...
One for the wank bank.
Yeah.
My God, his chin was so skinny in that.
So, to finish this, I was curious. What do you think Kingpin's porno name is?
The Thin Pin.
The Thin Pin. I like that. Or the Big Apple, maybe, because they're in New York.
Maybe.
That's a no. I do like trying to think of like I'm gonna take
Wilson Fist.
Wilson Fist. That is it. That's brilliant. I love it. Oh my god, Wilson Fist. Fisting his way through pornos after pornos.
Fisting is my speciality.
All right, and that's Kingpin and Smythe in a porno scenario, I suppose.
Yes.
So, I mean, I'm always up for recreating one ourselves for the private vault. That sounds pretty fun.
Looking at the chat real quick, I'd say Will is a goblin since he's able to do the voice so well. There you go.
Yeah.
So like,
then who would do the gardening in the relationship, Kingpin or Smythe? That was obviously to your gardening.
I feel like Kingpin would love it, but he'd be like, "Oh, my back is killing me, Smythe. Can you just take over?" I could see Smythe like having buttons that like water all the flowers and stuff like that.
Yeah, and then would you say you're working on a nerdy franchise to me? I can't say a word. And then his name could also be a play on the Chrysler Building, Kingpin's porno name. Welcome to the Chrysler Building. Once you're in, you'll never get out.
Welcome to the Chrysler Building. No, I like Wilson Fist.
Yeah,
Fisting
Wilson
is
Fist
my
is great.
speciality.
So, on to some news then, and what I've got. HBO Max, during a recent interview with HBO Max's boss, Tony Goncalves, he was asked about the decision to release the Snyder Cut. And I've got a quote here from him, because I did find this interesting, because a lot of people are now calling for so many different cuts of films.
Yeah.
Because they feel like, obviously, if Snyder Cut's released, the fandom has the power that maybe they can push for all these other films. And you know what I was thinking as well? I do think it's dangerous to give the idea that fans have too much power, because ultimately I feel like they will get let down. If they get every single cut they've ever wanted, there will always be complaints and stuff like that.
They don't have to be complacent to all of them. It's just some of them is fine if there's enough demand for it. Like, they profit off of it, make people happier. I don't see anything wrong with it.
Yeah, and you know what? It's not my money, so I don't care.
Like, if they said, like, hey, we, would you guys be cool if we just made some more Star Warses that continue the original trilogy, but different, like just an alternate universe thing? The other one's canon, but this would be alternate, like like Marvel What If. Like,
yeah.
Yup.
Yeah, I'm in for that. So the quote is, look, definitely not a precedent. And you're right, there's different types of fandoms. There's the fandom you just described, and there's other fandoms, he explained. My reference to the fandoms is the fact that we're in a space where consumers are loud. Consumers guide, and we absolutely have to listen as an industry. And I think when it comes to video, when it comes to entertainment, when it comes to content, consumers have never had more choice, and they've never had more of a voice. It sounds like a Dr. Seuss rhyme the way I'm reading it. But that doesn't mean that we will go and invest our dollars in every single fandom that exists. But I think the reference to the Snyder Cut and the Friends fandom is the fact that consumers are speaking, and we have to listen. It doesn't mean that we're going to redo every movie ever made, but I think we definitely have to have our ear to the ground, and I think we already do. So I think that's a good way of doing it. It's like, look, we'll listen to every single fandom, and if there's a big enough movement, we'll take it into consideration. Yep. It's good. It's a good place to be. So you know how last episode I mentioned that Henry Cavill's Superman will play more of a role like the Hulk in the DC films, where he won't have his own films, and I've said that's a bit disappointing because I really want to see more of Henry Cavill's Superman in a Superman film where he goes up against Brainiac. Well, if that means he's going to be more like the Hulk, I assume Superman is going to have cameos in certain like singular films like an Aquaman or a Wonder Woman, and then obviously be a big part of any Justice League films going forward, right? Just like the Hulk is. I was thinking, you know what? As much as I would love to see Superman fight Brainiac in a film, I would love to see the Justice League fight Brainiac. I think that'd be a really good villain for the Justice League to take on.
Definitely.
Like Brainiac infiltrating Batman's computers and outsmarting people like Martian Manhunter or something like that, and just completely owning the Justice League, Aquaman, Flash, any of them, Wonder Woman. So, you know what? I'm actually come around quite a lot to the idea. I think it would be quite good to have Superman as just a cameo and like the Hulk just showing up in Justice League films and stuff. So I am on board for that. I think that sounds good.
Yeah. I am definitely on board for that.
Cool. All right. So next bit of news, we've got WandaVision reportedly casts X-Men Apocalypse and American Horror Story star Evan Peters in a mystery role. So,
Okay.
you know, Quicksilver, the guy who plays Quicksilver.
Yeah, I know who Evan Peters is, yeah.
Okay, cool. So he's been cast in WandaVision in some mysterious role. So that'd be interesting to see who he plays. He's in the MCU now,
Maybe
I
he'll
suppose.
just get buried in the garden as the Grim Reaper.
Marvel has said that the MCU, obviously they have Deadpool now. It is rumored that the next Deadpool film put out by the MCU might be PG-13.
Okay.
Not a fan of that, dude.
Nope, neither am I.
I think that Deadpool exists in his R-rated world, so hopefully the MCU... I get why the MCU wants to do it. They've been putting out films
But
of
are
that
these
rating.
all rumours and not like why would people be saying this at studios?
I don't know. It's as I said, it's rumored, so I'm talking about it. It's a rumor, so it's not necessarily true. But as a thought, reading that, I was thinking, oh, that would be a shame. I'd really like to see Deadpool still in the R rating because that's when he's at his best.
Mm-hmm.
Christopher Nolan's film Tenet is still on track for a July 17th release. So next month, this new film by Christopher Nolan is going to be released in cinemas.
I've heard things that it's very confusing or something.
Well, I watched the latest trailer for it, and it does look confusing. But then I was thinking about when I saw the Inception trailer for the first time, and I was quite confused by that as well. It's only when you go and see it do you get the the full idea of what it's about.
I know, I saw some article that was like, even the actors are confused. But I mean, that's just probably some crap writing.
Yeah, it could be some crap. But yeah, I will be. I'm surprised that they're not postponing it. Obviously, that can still happen. We're over a month away from it being released. But the cinemas do plan to open up. Movie chains have all decided to open up around beginning or mid-July, which is when this will come out. So maybe they're doing it consecutively with this release to try and drive traffic back into cinemas and make some money.
Yeah,
So
I mean,
we'll
do you
see.
think people are going to sit? They're going to make people sit apart from each other?
Well, I can't comment on that because of work stuff.
Why don't you just say I have no idea instead? Because now we all know that you know something about it.
Well, yeah, but I can tell you off pod. But
Yeah, that's fine. But just from now on, just say I don't know.
But yeah, they basically have plans to obviously
That's what I
social
do.
distance.
When
Like
people ask me blatant stuff like, "Hey, do you know when this is happening?" and I just go, "No idea."
Yeah, but they have plans to do stuff like that, just like any chain does. I mean, every non-essential
Yeah, like
workplace.
in the garden centre today, it was all laid out. For
Yeah.
The new
So
world.
they will obviously have things in place like that. So that's not like super secret. But yeah, I suppose people will go and see Tenet, and they won't be able to fill the cinema like normal. One, because I don't know if loads of people are going to risk going, and two, obviously there's not going to be as many available seats ultimately because you've got a social distance in there, so it means less people. Then a next bit, a final bit of news actually. I thought this was really interesting and cool, and I was like, good for this guy. So the Batman versus Superman costume designer is actually the new designer for NASA's new spacesuits.
Oh yeah.
And when I read that, I was like, that's really cool, because if you think about Batman vs. Superman, especially Batman's armor when he's fighting Superman, that's very astronaut-esque, isn't it? That armor. But yeah, he's been hired, and he is now designing NASA's new spacesuits.
That's
for
cool.
NASA. That is a really cool little job, so I thought that was fun to put in there. And as we're living in a world where there's not loads of news, that is it for now. But shall we get on with our episode review of an episode I'm really looking forward to talking about?
Let's do it.
Okay, so we are reviewing Enter the Green Goblin, which came out on May 18th, 1996. So 3 days after your 6th birthday.
Yeah.
This episode was written by John Semper, Marty Eisenberg, and Robert Scur. One of these writers, buddy, that I just listed, I'm talking to right now and is most likely going to come on the show at some point.
Oh, nice.
Some honorable mentions for Marty Eisenberg and Robert Scur. Both of them have collaborated on many projects together. They like to work together a lot, Eisenberg and Scur, and they've collaborated on projects such as Batman the Animated Series, X-Men the Animated Series, Superman the Animated Series, Beetlejuice, and Transformers. So they've worked on some of the greats. We got voice actors Christopher Daniel Barnes as Spider-Man and Peter Parker, Ed Asner as J. Jonah Jameson, Gary Imhoff as Harry Osborn, Sarah Ballantyne as Mary Jane, Jennifer Hale as Felicia Hardy, Philip Abbott as Wardell Strum, Neil Ross as Green Goblin and Norman Osborn, Demetra Arliss as Anastasia Hardy, Roscoe Lee Brown as the Kingpin, and Dawn Lewis as Detective Terry Lee.
Terry Lee.
So Philip Abbott, who played Wardell Strum, which was Osborn's lab assistant that was helping him make the gas. Honorable mentions for him. He's been in $6 Million Man. He's been Nick Fury on Iron Man, the animated series, and he's also the Nick Fury in this show, in Spider-Man, the animated series. It's the same voice actor. Cool. He's been in the Incredible Hulk TV show, but Abbott is best remembered as assistant director Arthur Ward on the ABC series The FBI, which also starred Ephraim Zimbalist Jr., who plays Dr. Octopus.
Yeah, okay.
So both these guys were in this show, and then obviously subsequently went into Spider-Man the Animated Series. So yeah, some fun facts as I've been bringing in some episodes. John Semper originally wanted the identity of the Hobgoblin to be Norman Osborn after the toy deal forced Hobgoblin to appear first in the show before the Green Goblin. This idea was shot down by Stan Lee, who said no to Norman being the Hobgoblin's identity, and he said he has to be the Green Goblin, and then obviously that was how he was introduced. And I'm really glad
Good job, the creator of the stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I get why they were trying to make Hobgoblin and Norman because Hobgoblin was first, but he's always going to be the Green Goblin to me. In this episode, Spider-Man states that he saved Terry Lee's life 2 times. This is actually not true. Spider-Man only saved Terry Lee in the episode The Menace of Mysterio. In that episode, Mysterio suspended Terry Lee above a bed of spikes and dropped her, and Spider-Man came in and saved her.
Was that their first time meeting?
No, so the second time that Terry Lee is mentioning, where she was almost killed, was when Michael Morbius flew into the air with Terry Lee and dropped her. However, Spider-Man did not save her, Blade did. So Spider-Man's counting a couple times where he's overcompensating. Wardell Strum, Norman's assistant, is also the same character that appears in Sam Raimi's Spider-Man movie. It's the same name, the one where he's like, back to formula, and then like chucks him out. That's Wardell Strum. So I thought that was cool and obvious that must have been what's his face? Avi Arad, obviously been like, oh, I watched this, I did this cartoon. Yeah, make this lab assistant Wardell Strum.
Yeah, but is he in the original source material?
No, he's not.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well, he has a different name. It's like his surname is Strum, so that is correct. But he's got a different first name.
Okay.
Marvel Comics editor and head writer Stan Lee and artist Steve Ditko are credited with creating the character the Green Goblin. They each collaborated with one another on how the character will be portrayed. According to Ditko, Stan's synopsis for the Green Goblin had a movie crew on location finding an Egyptian-like sarcophagus. Inside was an ancient mythological demon, the Green Goblin. He naturally came to life. On my own, I changed Stan's mythological demon into a human villain. So Stan Lee actually wanted the Green Goblin to be non-human to begin with. But what's really interesting is that in Amazing Spider-Man issue 14, that's the first appearance of the Green Goblin, which is when they didn't know he was even human. And then in the comics, way later in Amazing Spider-Man number 37, the character Norman Osborn was introduced and revealed to be the identity of the Green Goblin. So from 14 to 37, everyone thought that the Green Goblin was a monster, or they didn't know his identity.
That's pretty cool.
So that is cool, because in this show it's the other way around, isn't it? In this show, it's introduce Norman Osborn and get to know him a lot more before you introduce the Green Goblin.
Yeah.
And I kind of dig that, man. I really dig that. All right, so my question to you: what did you think of this episode? The big question.
I thought it was alright.
Okay, elaborate.
Well, do you know what? At the end of the episode, I realized something. Because one thing that annoys me is the Goblin's voice, because I just find it very unthreatening. But what I realized is that in the show, it's gas that gives him his powers. So I made the assumption, well, helium raises the tone of your voice. Maybe the Goblin gas raises the tone of his voice. And that's why he sounds like this.
I kind of dig that.
Because when Norman's losing, when he's like, I need my strength. Like, I figured that was the gas leaving him. So it's not the identity of the Goblin, it's the identity of the gas.
That's true, because he said that they had that flashback where it's like, we have no idea how long this would take effect for. And obviously he's like, that gas is wearing off.
Yeah.
And can I just say, on a side note, Neil Ross's voice acting in this is phenomenal. Especially that scene.
It's very good. It's just there's something about that voice. But now that I've given myself a narrative, I accept it more.
That scene, though, like the way he was flip-flopping between Norman and Green Goblin, that shit's not easy.
No.
So I was really impressed by that. Also, I really love this episode as an answer to the question. It's one that stands out in my memory so much from this show. And what I love most is that this is my first exposure to the Green Goblin as a kid. I didn't know who the Goblin was until this show, and I loved, and I remembered as a kid being like, who is the Goblin? And obviously they're trying to do the whole Harry Osborn red herring thing, but I loved all that misdirect, and I liked the detective style to it, and the animation was excellent in this episode.
The animation since season 3 started has been superb. I do have one. Good. I have one bugaboo. They show his armor, and they're like, oh, his armor gives him super strength. But then later on, Norman says that the gas is what gives him strength.
Yeah, I noticed that.
And I was like, so he has double super strength, or what's going on here?
I guess, and maybe the armor also protects him from like gunfire and all sorts of things as well. But yeah, I did think that. But yeah, overall, I like Spider-Man trying to figure out the pattern with kidnappings and who the Goblin is and all of that. So I really dig this episode. Do you have a favorite character from this episode?
I really liked Mary Jane. I don't know why.
You don't know why? You just were like, yeah, Mary Jane. Cool.
I just liked her in this episode. I especially like when she's like, I know things didn't work out between us, Peter, but you're a really good friend. And then Peter being like, I really care about you too, Mary Jane. And I just love that. I was like, that was top notch. Storytelling. You told me the whole story right there. He wanted to say, and I love you too, woman.
Well, he did kind of say, I'm in love with you. And then also, I love how Felicia came up to Peter right after that and was like, can you tell Spider-Man next time you see him to come see me? And then she's in love with Spider-Man. It's such a great classic Spider-Man story, isn't it? So I really dug that, where Spidey is in this like crazy love scenario, but Peter gets no one in the end. It's only Spider-Man that gets
It's one of the big
something.
differences between Batman and Spider-Man. Spider-Man, a lot of his story is to deal with romance, where Batman is nil with that.
Yeah, that's true. I really like that. So I like the board meeting at the beginning, like Anastasia Hardy, JJ, Kingpin, all ganging up on Osborn. I thought that that group was good.
JJ deflected big time because they're like, well, why'd you report this? He's like, well, I'm a journalist first and a board member second. I'm like, no one would do that if you had personal interest in something and you ran a newspaper. But then again, that does speak good for his character though, where he's like, people deserve the truth.
Yeah, even though it may be twisted truth or his version of the truth. But yes, I agree. I loved how Kingpin, like Wilson Fisk, is against the gas and chemical weapons, and he's like, shut it down. And then he calls Norman Osborn later, and he's like, you're going to continue making that gas for me because I'm the Kingpin. Mm-hmm. I just thought that's such a great duality between both of those. Like, he's like, got to keep up the public face.
Oh, what about him drinking an espresso on the helicopter later on?
What a baller.
Yeah.
What a total fucking baller. I love that.
Vegan.
I was like, it's Yeah, that's his new. That's like a new coffee bean.
Ah, thank you.
Yeah.
A cup of crime. There we go. Have a cup of crime.
So yeah, I thought his whole like Wilson Fisk doesn't want the gas, but Kingpin does was really cool. So what did you think about the whole accident in the lab and the creation of the Goblin? That whole scene.
It's fine. I mean, I love the one in the movie with
Willem Dafoe.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just watched that, and I gotta say I do prefer that because it's
And it goes super. You see, what's his name? Sam Raimi's Evil Dead roots there as well, with the white eyes and stuff.
yeah. And I love in that film where Harry finds Norman on the floor, and he's like, "Dad, wake up!" And he's like, "What happened last night?" He's like, "Last night I was," and then he cuts to a really quick like jolt scream, like jump scare. And even though I've seen it a million times, every time I watch it, I'm always like, I flinch a bit when I see it because it's such like a just a huge jump scare for me. So I do like it in the film better, but I did like in this version how Harry and Spider-Man got involved in the explosion and like Spider-Man getting Harry out, because it explains later why Harry might be the Green Goblin, because he was obviously there. His father died. Or he thinks his father died. So I thought that was all really good.
Yeah, I know. Not to spoil one of your little segments later on, but they did break censorship. I guess we'll save it for later because I noticed it.
They did. I've got a few of them for you.
I noticed.
Well done. So I thought it was pretty messed up that Spider-Man gave up looking for Norman so quickly after the fire. Like he saved Harry, and then he looks back at the building and he's just like, "There's no way Norman made it," and he just webs off. And I'm
well,
like,
I mean,
dude.
that place was falling apart, to be fair.
Yeah, but like you're a superhero. Go in and save the look for him. I was really shocked how he's just like, "Oh, he's dead. Bye." I really liked Harry's. You know what? My favorite character in this was Harry Osborn.
Right.
Because his character development took huge leaps and bounds. Like, we've seen Harry only on like a surface level in this show so far, but him like going up against the board and being like, "I'm every man that my father was," because they called him boy, and he's like, "Don't call me boy." And I liked how he was trying to act adult, but he was a bit of a petulant child. And then obviously he comes in later with discovering Goblin's base, and then gets to be his father's like apprentice at the end of this. I thought it was really, really cool.
Mm-hmm.
So did you like the red herring of Harry might be the Goblin in this whole episode?
Yeah, of course.
I did too, and I remember as a kid being so shocked because I was like, I'm only like 6 and I'm watching this and I'm like,
That's
he's the Green Goblin.
Goblin.
Yep, I spoke like that
That
too.
Goblin there do his thing.
I spoke broken English until at least 10.
As you ate your giant French baguette full of apricot jam because you thought bread and jam was healthy. You're like, "Bro, man, this diet's a fucking joke."
And we got a comment where I flinch every time too. Where I remember freaking out when I was a kid seeing Willem Dafoe roll his eyes back.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was definitely something that affected all of us.
I remember the thing that scared me was when he turns around and he's like, "Ah!" when he's like the old lady in the fire.
Oh yeah.
Scream.
Imagine if Spider-Man went back in to save Norman in this episode, and Norman's just dressed up as an old woman rolling around in the fire.
He screams like a ring wraith in that.
Yeah, he does. So Kingpin is so good in this, like using the distraction of Norman's death as a reason for Strum to pursue creating the gas and like having that chemical weapon. I just love how he's like, "I'm always thinking about crime, baby. Nothing else is getting in the way."
Living for that crime.
What do you think about the first scene where we see the Goblin, which is that quick scene where that guy's in a cafe, the gas comes down, and then a green glove just grabs him from above and like takes him away?
Does nothing for me. I don't know why, it just doesn't.
Really? So I loved how we didn't see the Goblin for the longest time. It was like such a great build-up for me with the villain. And he's always in the gas, or he's a shadow, or you see like a gloved hand or something. You just hear the cackling.
I'm just not the biggest Green Goblin fan. I don't dislike him. I really don't dislike. You know who I do like? I love Norman Osborn, and I love the inner battle of Norman Osborn and the Goblin. But the Goblin himself, he just doesn't do anything for me. And I hate myself for saying that, but it's
That's
true.
interesting, because for me as a kid, I always used to be like, that's Spider-Man's Joker, right? Like he gets under Spider-Man's skin. Eventually, he finds out Spider-Man and Peter Parker are the same, and he like completely messes. He wants to have a mental battle more than a physical battle with him, and like really torture him. And that's
But
why
a lot of villains do that for him. I mean, you could say the same thing about Eddie Brock. He certainly is like that. I'd say he was even more of an arch villain with his story arc.
Yeah, and he's also got the strength as well. Well, Goblin has strength, but who do you think is stronger, Goblin or Venom?
I think Venom is definitely stronger, but he's just not smarter.
So too, yeah. So Spider-Man says after meeting Harry, like, you know how he goes to his apartment and Harry's just like, leave me alone. He's like, I'm sorry, but I'm just, having a difficult time. And Spider-Man says after seeing him, I know what it's like to lose both parents, but at least I've got Aunt May. And I was like, what about Uncle Ben, mate?
Yeah.
Like, the reason you became fucking Spider-Man in the first place. Never mind your parents that you knew when you were like 1 to 3 or however old you were when they died.
But they could be secret agents.
Oh, I hate
Anybody care about this storyline? No? Damn it. We kind of based the whole thing off of this. Ah, crap.
You know what? After seeing Raimi's Spider-Man 1 the other day, I was like, I'm going to watch these Raimi films again and like go down memory lane and see what I like, see what I don't like now, in hindsight. And I was like, you know what I'm also going to watch? I'm going to watch those fucking Andrew Garfield ones again. I'm going to see how bad they really are. Because I've seen Amazing Spider-Man 1 probably 3 times, Andrew Garfield. I've seen the Raimi films countless times, but Andrew Garfield's first one I've seen 3 times. And Amazing Spider-Man 2 I've only seen once. It was so bad. So I'm really interested to revisit it now after it's been out for a good almost a decade, I think. Back to the episode. I love the scene where a green gas bomb goes off and a shadowy figure grabs JJ out of his car. Again, the animation was excellent in this episode. Like, that whole sequence was so well animated. I know you don't like the Goblin, but I love that. JJ in his car, you had the 3D city, and like the camera went inside the car, and then the gas went off, and you see Norman.
Well, I do like it that he pulled him Kingpin out of the helicopter. It kind of cracked me up a bit.
Yeah, I did too. What did you think about Spider-Man's first encounter with Green Goblin on the glider?
Fine.
Well, I thought it was, it's the first time.
I like that he could use his webs, but.
Yeah, me too. I like how he crushed the web shooters instantly. I also like how he was just like, all right, Hobgoblin. He's like, wait a minute, you're not the Hobgoblin. Same with Kingpin, actually. He thought it was Hobgoblin. I loved how he's like, Hobgoblin? No, someone new. I like how he says it. It's so well done. I like how...
Hello, my name is Kingpin. I run all of crime. This is Smitey Poo. Say hello, Smite.
Hello. So I think, all of the kidnapping scenes I really enjoyed in this episode. I like how Spider-Man's nickname for JJ was Flat Top.
Yeah.
I thought it was a cool little nickname. I haven't heard him say that yet. Did you see the brief shot of the Twin Towers in this episode?
No, I didn't.
It's where that board member worked, which Goblin like flies up to his window whilst he's working at his desk. And he works in the Twin Towers.
Oh, wow.
I loved Spider-Man and Terry Lee's scene working together, and Spider-Man, is trying to like uncover what's going on with Terry Lee. I liked the whole detective angle. It was actually very Batman, really. A lot of this episode. It felt like Batman meeting Jim Gordon when Spider-Man was talking to Terry Lee in the windowsill. And it was at night, and Spider-Man's really like, I love the way Spider-Man looks in the show at night. Like, he's so well lit, and the way they position him, I think it's really well done. Did you notice how Osborn giving Spider-Man the choice of saving Anastasia or Felicia Hardy was very similar to the end of Raimi's Spider-Man film?
Yeah. I think that's quite a Goblin thing, though, isn't it?
Yeah, he loves it. I mean, if Goblin had a game show, it would be like...
Choose one or the other.
Welcome to one or the other. Your mother or your dog?
Yeah, he just chooses audience members. He's like, who do you like?
Yeah, there's just people tied up. That's kind of cool, actually.
Yeah, that's a really great game show. That's something the Joker would do as well,
yes.
Actually. We'll keep that in the old back pocket. What did you think of the scene where Goblin attacks Kingpin in his helicopter? I know we briefly spoken about it, but
cracked me up.
Yeah, it cracked me up. I liked how Goblin prepared though and had titanium cables to entrap King.
Yeah,
Yep.
fat, yeah.
Yeah, he sasses Kingpin big time at one point about his weight. I'll get to that in a minute. So I cracked up at this scene, right? You know where Peter goes home and he finds MJ on his couch, and MJ like expresses her concerns about Harry and like she's worried about him, thinks he's changed. And Peter stands there and gives us like a ton of internal exposition, and he's just shifting his eyes like this the whole time. He's like moving them around. And imagine being MJ. She even goes up to him. She's like, "Peter, are you all right?" Like imagine being MJ. Yeah.
Sorry, I was just watching The Undertaker wrestle, and I was like, "That's really cool."
Because he literally had about 40 seconds of exposition, and imagine just staring at someone for 40 seconds of silence as their eyes are like shifting around. You're like, "Can you have a conversation with me, dude?" I also, did you like MJ investigating Harry as well? Like she's not going to just lay down and for shit. I liked how she went to Oscorp and she was like snooping around and following Harry. I thought that was really, really cool. So what did you think of the Goblin submarine and underwater base?
Hated it. That was one of the things I hated. It was over the top, too much. He's not a Bond villain.
Thank you. I put it's a very James Bond hideout, isn't it?
The moment he flew into a submarine, I was like, why?
I do agree. I mean, they do explain later like it was a weapons testing facility.
Yeah, Harry like shrugs off the exposition as they're leaving, but still.
Yeah, he does. Wraps that up nicely. Yeah, I agree. It's not really Goblin-esque, at least in my mind. Like, I don't see you know what it is? I don't see Goblin ever having a base. Like, there's lots of villains that should have a base. Like Doc Ock should have a base. Kingpin, but not Goblin. He's either Norman. And Norman is his base, right? Like he can hide in Norman and hide in Oscorp. Like that's the Goblin's base. It's inside Norman's head.
Well,
yeah. Do you like that?
Somebody take this kid to film school and write a paper.
Go on, that was not bad. Give me
it's
some
good.
credit. So what did you think of the whole mock trial that Goblin created for the board members? Like where you put on like a judge's...
It was very Two-Face.
Yeah, it felt Two-Face. I did like how you like went through all of their crimes though, like JJ being Osborn's friend, but also framing him in his papers. And also you mentioned Otto Octavius for Anastasia Hardy, how she funded one of the greatest criminal minds of all time, he said. Which
I love that he didn't even blow Fisk's spot though. He's like, and you're the worst of them all. But I'm not going to go into detail that you are the kingpin of crime.
That's true. He didn't, did he? And he knows he's the kingpin. He's the only person there that doesn't.
Like, yes, I.
Well, he said, and you're the worst of them all. Your sins are exceeded only by your girth. I was like, oh, shade.
Ouch. Ooh, that one cut deep. Gonna have to eat some cake to get through that one, I think, Spice.
And you know what?
I love your girth, sir. Thank you.
The fact he didn't say Kingpin, he was just like, yeah, you're totally right, and he doesn't.
Yes, Fisk. Oh, I'm so bad. I support the wrong sport team that you support. Oh, I'm the worst. You know, sometimes I throw away my plastic bags. Oh, I am the worst.
Kingpin does get angry though, and he tries to break out of his restraints after that comment.
Yeah,
I thought it was so good. Where he's like, nobody calls me girth. He's just not gonna take it. No one calls me fat, unless it's Smythe, and it's lovingly.
Yes, unless they call me fat if it's in a positive manner. Like, oh, that's some sexy fat. Then we're good to go.
So Spider-Man then shows up because he's followed MJ with the Tracer. There's a big fight in the base. I did like that fight. I know it was brief, but I liked how Spider-Man was hopping around and basically luring Goblin away from them and, you know, dodging the pumpkin bombs and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was some really good animation, especially for Spider-Man. I do like, though, when Spider-Man doubles back and he frees all the board members and JJ still takes time, even though, like, water's, like, rising up to drown him. He's still like, what's your angle in all of this? And he's, like, having a go at him.
Yeah.
And then MJ's just like JJ, let's freaking go. Kingpin saving MJ was great too. He's like, careful, my dear.
Oh, I loved that.
I love that so
too.
much.
Where Spider-Man's like, whoa, worlds collide.
Yeah. It's a wolf in sheep's clothing. It's brilliant. The way he's like, careful, my dear. It's so soothing. And he's like, I'm actually an evil genius. And then Spider-Man tells JJ to drive the submarine. He's like, you were in the Navy. And I didn't know that.
Yeah, I know. I was like, was he?
Yeah, I was like, really? And now I want to see the whole back. Like, I would love a little mini comic on JJ as like, what, a Navy SEAL? Can you imagine, like, young
No,
Navy
he wouldn't
SEAL
have been
JJ?
a Navy SEAL.
Why not?
He's not that badass.
Okay, so what? He would be like a submarine commander or something like that?
I don't think he would have been that high up. You don't just leave that and then become a newspaper man.
So what? He's just like Private Jameson? Private Jameson, get over here and mop this deck. He's like, nah, fuck.
Yeah, why do you think I left the Navy?
I did love when they were getting out of there in the submarine. And Kingpin fires that laser and traps Spider-Man in there. And JJ's like, Wilson, why would you do that? He's like, we need to eliminate both threats. And I was just like, even when he's being like a good guy, he's still a bad guy.
Yeah.
So I remember as a kid seeing the reveal of the Goblin's origin for the first time, and that it was Norman. And it was just so like special to me. I was so enthralled with this episode as a kid. It really is one that stands out. And how he's controlled by the Goblin, and he just instantly has become one of my favorite villains. And like seeing him again, I'm like, this is my favorite version of the Goblin for me.
Right.
Like, I loved Willem Dafoe, but I hated his costume.
Yeah.
So much. And seeing the Goblin in the right costume in this, and Neil Ross is fantastic as both Norman Osborn and the Green Goblin. So yeah. I just, it really stood out. Like, I'm excited to see Goblin in future episodes for sure. I did laugh really hard though when the statue fell down on the Goblin's face and Norman starts screaming how it's staring at him.
No, I like that. That was dark. He's like, stop staring at me. I like that.
I liked it, but I laughed because it was just like right in his face and he's just trying to like wiggle out of it. It was weird to see Harry without his orange jacket on. Did you see him take it off and he's just got like a green t-shirt on?
No, I didn't pick up on that.
Yeah, right when they were getting in the submarine, he puts his jacket over his father's shoulders. And
MJ's like, what the fuck? Oh, wait, no, they're not in the same thing, are they?
No, yeah, it's Pete. It's just Spider-Man and Norman getting in there with Harry. But yeah, the green jacket, the orange jacket off and then the green t-shirt, I was like, oh my god, we'll never see that again as well. Like, that's how extra the animators went with this, I suppose, because, you know, they were drawing all of that, which usually we've seen them cut corners a few times in this show. I do like at the end, though, how no one knows the Green Goblin's identity besides Spider-Man.
Yeah, and then like he's like, I'm going to keep it that way. He's like, greater good.
Yeah, I really like that. So at the end, we get Norman addressing the tabloids and revealing he's alive.
Yes, and this was a scene that, I mean, I remembered the line differently, but I remember watching it.
I have it written down.
All right, go ahead then.
So he remembers he's revealing he's alive, and we finally get to see one of Will's most famous, random favorite scenes of this show, which is Shifty Eye Kingpin.
Yeah, just being like, "Oh, well done, Norman," and then leans in, and there's a microphone right there, but he leans in and he's just shifting his eyes around. And I remember the line was, "And remember," and that's how I used to get into the Kingpin. You go, "And remember," but he doesn't say that, which was a shame. But
he basically threatens Norman, which is like, you're my bitch, and if you're not, you're gonna be a goner.
Yeah.
So as we've already said, love the scene where MJ tells Peter like he's a good friend to Harry, kisses his cheek, and he wishes he was with MJ, but obviously can't be, and she's with his best friend, which felt very Sam Raimi as well. And then Felicia asks Peter to tell Spider-Man to get in touch with him, and she's in love with him now. And it's just great Spider-Man drama. I'm like, oh, spill the tea. This is so much drama. This is great. And then at the final scene of the episode, we have Felicia meeting Spider-Man on her balcony and kisses him as a thank you. And that's the end of the episode. So a final question for you, which I'll try and do more in the episode.
You got to keep it rolling, bud, because I'm still drawn away.
Final question on the review is overall thoughts on this episode?
It's alright.
Got to keep it rolling, bud, because I'm still drawing away. Hey, I'm going to ask you a question. What's the response? It's alright.
Yeah, I don't know what it is about it. I just can't get behind it. But that's okay. I appreciate it. I don't hate it.
Yeah. It's I mean, I'd be surprised if you hated it. It's definitely one of my favorite episodes. It is. The animation, the Green Goblin, the introduction to him. I loved the kidnapping, the detective stuff, all of that. So I was a big fan. And then also all of the sort of what's to come at the end of this episode. Like Spider-Man knows that Norman Osborn was a Green Goblin. No one else does.
Mm-hmm.
Norman's forgotten, but will he come back? And then you got Kingpin operating. MJ was involved. Yeah, just lots of cool things. And I was also wondering, I was like, where's the Hobgoblin? Because I can't wait to see him come into the fray with this.
Yeah, like, the guy's stealing my look?
Yeah, because you did see in the flashback Norman after he's been gassed coming into like the war room of the Hobgoblin and like see all the weapons.
Yeah. Oh, that was one of my favorite parts, is when the Hobgoblin suit melted from the gas, or it morphed from the gas into the Green Goblin's outfit. I was like, well, that's cool.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense why he's like, I'm the Green Goblin now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he was like, it was right there in front of me, so that was really cool. All right, let's get into sense of wit. Okay, so this show, for anyone joining us for the first time, had a lot of censorships to abide by. No punching, no use of the words kill, death, or die, no shooting bullets, no blood, no breaking glass, no use of the words radioactive or other variations, no children in peril, no foul language, and most importantly, no harming pigeons. #ProPidge.
#ProPidge, baby.
So, you said you noticed a break in censorship, so why don't you go first with the one you noticed?
I noticed Kingpin said something to Harry at the board meeting, the death of your father. I was like, whoa, I thought they were going to say disappearance. And maybe they got away with it because afterwards he's like, you know, my father's not, you know, it's never proved that my father's dead. They haven't found a body, etc. like that. But still, just hearing that, I was like, whoa.
Well, it's messed up that they even said, like, body.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, never recovered a body is really pushing it.
Yeah,
and yeah,
I agree.
So Kingpin breaks it and says the death of your father. So this is also one of the few episodes where the word killed is used. The network says
killed, really?
Yep. Usually they forbade words like kill, death, or die, but to be said on Spider-Man the animated series. But it's when Green Goblin catches Mary Jane at Oscorp, he says, "Curiosity killed the cat."
Oh yes, he did.
Yeah, said the word killed.
That's interesting. So,
and I know it's a saying, but it's still the word, and that's like there could be a million other things you could have put in there, but they deliberately chose that line, and that had that word in it. So yeah, there was that.
And I was also like, oh, save that for when Black Cat comes, right? Like a dope line like that.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well. Save that for sure. Okay, so we got other phrases like "my life depends on it." Obviously, that skates around it, so it's not actually breaking censorship. But I was noticing all the ways they were skating around, like Norman's death, besides Kingpin saying death. There's no way he could have survived, instead of "there's no way he's dead" or "there's no way he's alive still." Memory of his father we lost in the accident, his demise. Like they're using words like that to get around it. Never recovered a body, like I said. And then finally, buddy, the big thing, which I was like, I actually paused. I took a picture of it as well. Broken fucking glass.
Really?
When Spider-Man and Detective Terry Lee are in the World Trade Center after the guy was abducted, he was abducted out of his window of the World Trade Center, and you see shattered shards of glass. Can you see this here?
Oh yeah.
And you see those shards loads. It's not even a quick shot. They kept on cutting to it because Spider-Man's on the window ledge. And I was like, oh my god, broken fucking glass. They went all out in this episode. They broke quite a few. So that is all
like maybe if we can get with this, maybe we can kill Gwen Stacy.
So that's all the censorships that I could find. So yeah, if you guys have seen any other censorship breaks, maybe in this episode or other episodes, there's a few ways you can get in touch with us. Obviously, if you enjoy this podcast, please be sure to come visit us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter by keyword searching Spider-Man, the Animated Series Podcast, where you can get up-to-date news and also send in your Kingpin and Smythe scenarios. Also, be sure to rate, comment, and subscribe to us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, and wherever else you're listening to us right now, as it helps us wall crawl up the charts and attract both new listeners and guests. And finally, you can also follow Will on his social media pages to see his artwork, stay up to date on what he's working on now, and get a glimpse into the workday of a comic book artist. Will, where can our listeners find you?
Anywhere at RobsonINK on the interwebs.
That's right, and if you're watching us now, you already know that on YouTube. But yeah, you can check him out on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter as well under that handle. Same with us for Spider-Man the Animated Series at STAS Podcast. And if they want to order a commission from you, Will, where do they go?
They need to go to RobsonRequest@gmail.com, and my wife will give you a price list, pretending to be me. It's not really me, but I am discussing it in the background, like, oh yeah, I could do that and stuff like that. That's not true, because I do respond to a lot of them personally as well.
I was going to say how very like politician of you, the way you're just like, it is me, but it's not. I have someone else do what I'm saying and write it down.
She's more clever than I am.
All right, you ready for? You got to give me a little theme tune for the week for the friendly neighborhood quiz game. Give me a little theme tune.
It's time for the friendly neighborhood quiz game.
Twit.
Weekly.
All right. Okay. Got 5 questions for you. I think I've made it maybe a little too easy this week. I don't know. Sometimes I think I do and I'm wrong. But question 1. What metal is Kingpin unable to break free from in this episode?
Titanium.
Well done. Is that because I asked the alloy metal question last episode?
No, I think I would have got that one.
Okay. What items does the statue What items does the statue Lady Justice hold in her hands?
It's the balance thing.
Yeah, the
scales, and the sword.
Correct.
That was a quiz question the other day when we played a quiz.
Oh yeah, it was. Well, sorry.
That we both got right.
Yeah, we did because of Batman the Animated Series.
Because of Batman the Animated Series.
Not because of this show. Because Poison Ivy dressed up as that statue. Yeah. Can you name one more item that's significant about that statue? Because I realized this watching this episode.
His head was on it.
Well, no, not that. There's about that actual statue, Lady Justice. She holds the sword, the scales, and then there's something else significant about that statue.
No, I don't know what you're trying to say.
Well, they always say that it's in regard to Justice.
Oh, Justice is blind, but she's not blindfolded because it's his face.
Well, she is blindfolded. That's what I mean. What's the other item that is significant about her? It's the blindfold.
Okay.
What does Peter?
But she wasn't because it was his face.
I'm not saying in this episode. I'm saying the statue, Lady Justice.
Gotcha.
That was the question.
I love Green Goblin when he has like the bubblegum color to him. I like bubblegum better than the purple.
Ooh, yeah, me too. Oh, I haven't seen that yet because obviously I've been doing this.
It's coming along, bud.
Looks great. Okay, question 3. What does Peter place in Mary Jane's pocket?
A spider tracker.
Correct. Spider tracer, but I'll let you have it.
Oh, come on, it's the same bloody thing.
Question 4. What was Green Goblin's base originally created and used for?
Huh?
What was Green Goblin's base originally created and used for?
The Hobgoblin. Oh no, the submarine base. It was to do underground weapon testing.
Correct. Question 5. What does Norman offer to Harry at the end of the episode?
Job?
Yeah, what job?
Take it like helping him run the company.
Correct. That is to run the company with him.
Yeah.
You got 5 out of 5 for the first time.
All right.
First time. Winner. Chicken dinner.
Well, I'm very proud of myself.
Well done, Smade. Well done. All right, we're going to go into the Daily Bugle Fact of the Day. Fact of the Day. So stupid. Oh, I got a Neil Ross one here. Neil Ross. So, fact number 21. Neil Ross, who provided the voice for Norman Osborn and the Green Goblin, is the only voice actor to date to voice the same character on 2 different Spider-Man cartoon series. Ross had previously done the voice of Norman Osborn, but not the Green Goblin, on Amazing Spider-Man and His Amazing Friends, We actually did know that because when we were interviewing
Yeah.
Neil mentioned that. But I still think that's really cool that he. And I remember that story he told where he came in, he auditioned. They're like, "All right, we like your Norman. Let's hear your Green Goblin." And he did his Green Goblin. And they're like, "Great." And then he got hired. And later on in an episode, the voice director Tony Pastor was like, "Were you Green Goblin before?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, I was. On this other show. It's this cartoon that came out in the 80s. Yeah."
He's like, "You're fine."
I love all that. Also, I did forget to mention that the Spider-Man cartoon show that gets a lot of attention as well. Besides this one, the Spectacular Spider-Man show, which came out.
It's not a bad show.
It's not a bad show. It's definitely
It's a different take on Spider-Man, but it's not bad.
Yeah, it's not bad. It's not as good as this show, but it's not bad, and I definitely enjoy some episodes.
Yeah.
And one of the episodes I really enjoyed was when they introduced the Green Goblin in that show. Instead of Norman, it was Harry.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and I kind of like that, because I remember watching it and be like, "Yeah, I know. I've seen the Sam Raimi film. I've seen the Spider-Man the Animated Series. Like, I know it's going to be Norman." And then it was Harry, and I was like, "Oh, they're switching it up." I like that, because they obviously knew everyone's going to know it's Norman if we keep it that way.
Well, that's what they did in freaking the Amazing Spider-Man movie as well, and it did not go well.
Yeah, this wine's making my nose itch. I apologize, because I've been occasionally trying to scratch my nose in this and been desperate not to.
Is it the wine or is it just pollen?
I definitely think it's pollen as well. All right, let's go to the chat real quick. We got a question. You can answer this.
Oh, do you want to do a giveaway?
Yeah, I've got that later, so give me a minute.
No worries.
I came prepared this time, mate.
Nice.
You can answer this later in the episode if you want. Who do you think would win in a fight? 90s animated Goblin or Willem Dafoe's Goblin?
90s animated Goblin. I feel like Willem Dafoe Goblin he's not all there.
No, he's not as smart as the Norman in this show.
He's just cool.
Yeah, the way that the cartoon version carries himself, I can just see him wrecking Willem Dafoe's Goblin. Pumpkin bombs, the glider, everything. And I know Willem Dafoe's has that as well. But there's just something lame about that Power Rangers Willem Dafoe outfit that, I just feel like he'll just get knocked down. Plus, this Goblin looks buff, he looks jacked, whereas Dafoe's one looks really...
Dafoe's one is Jingle All the Way.
Yeah, oh my god, it is. It's like go, Demon Team.
Yeah, exactly.
That's what it is. We got...
Go, Demon Team.
We got someone called Peter Parker in the chat.
Oh, yeah.
Says, "Hello, Will and Alex. Hi, Peter Parker."
Hi, Peter Parker.
Would you ever make a Patreon so people could donate to help you make podcasts? Oh. Well, I will say that I've looked into Patreon, and it's just figuring out what tiers I can offer to people if they wanted to donate, because obviously I don't want to just say, "Hey, donate and help us make the show," because that's not what I'm about with that. And we have advertisers on the show as well, which is nice, because doing the show isn't completely free, so it's always nice to have a little bit of advertising money. I'm considering it with Patreon. It would all be about what Will and I decide to do as offers. I have had someone bring this up before, and I think, Peter Parker, this might have been you as another alias. But someone suggested that if we do Patreon, that if people subscribe to a certain level, that we record ourselves watching Raimi's Spider-Man 1 and commentating on it.
Okay.
We and just releasing that as a private episode for our subscribers. Things like that. So lots to think about. So I will give the answer.
You could do a sketch card.
You could do a sketch card. I didn't want to put you up for that, obviously. But there's lots to consider and think about, and I suppose you've kind of jump-started that conversation now, so Will and I will figure it out over time, and if it works, great, then we'll put it up and we'll let you know. So thanks for the suggestion, and I assume you're suggesting it because you want to help donate, so thank you for even considering doing that. Really appreciate that. Alrighty. Shall I ask my question, because I think you're nearing the end of your Goblin now, aren't you?
I'm nearing the end, yeah.
Brilliant. He looks really good, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah, I think it turned out well.
Yeah.
I'm giving away Fantastic Four issue number 12.
Okay.
This is a digital download, so what you have to do is you have to answer. My brother's going to ask a question. Whoever answers it first with the correct spelling will win the digital download code, and just email me at robsonrequest@gmail.com and I will give you the code.
Okay. So the question is, whoever answers this correctly, and spelling is important, name the voice actor who plays both Norman Osborn and the Green Goblin in Spider-Man, the animated series.
See, that's the type of question I like, because it's stuff we've already talked about. Not just like, who was this thing that you have to go look up on Google for?
I know.
Well done. I like that a lot better.
Someone said, what is the question again? It is, who is the voice actor who plays Norman Osborn and the Green Goblin on Spider-Man, the animated series? They are the same person, by the way.
And if you're listening to this on the podcast, make sure to join us on the live stream, because then you can actually win a free comic.
That's right. That's very right. I've itched my nose so many times I've just seen it in the live stream again. What? Why is this wine making my nose so itchy, Spade? Is it made of cocaine, Spade?
Oh, I might drink some more then.
You drunk it, Spade. Come on, people. Let's get some answers.
Well, remember, it is delayed.
Oh, we've got someone saying, Piercy says Gary Imhoff. Unfortunately, that is incorrect. He does play the Green Goblin, but I specified who plays Norman Osborn and the Green Goblin, and he plays Harry Osborn and the Green Goblin later on. So, spelling is important. Who plays Norman Osborn and the Green Goblin on Spider-Man the Animated Series? You know what's so funny is I bet anyone that's listening to this on the podcast platforms we're on, or watching this later on, it's just like, for the love of God, it's blah! Like, someone answer it!
We were just talking about them.
I know, I've said his name multiple times. He was in the Daily Bugle Fact of the Day. Like, I've given loads of
It's a good question, because it's like the quiz you give me at the end of the show. It's, were you paying attention?
Yeah, exactly. By the way, the next episode, I am once again not looking forward to, and maybe I'll be proven wrong, but the next episode is like a one-off villain, who is in the comics called Rocket Racer.
Oh, I know I don't like this one.
Yeah, that's our next episode, bud. So,
oh God! All right,
strap in and get ready.
Rocket Racer.
We've got an answer. Ding, ding, ding. Correct. Piercy said Neil Ross. That is correct.
That's it. Please
So
email
Piercy.
me at robsonrequest@gmail.coms. I've still got a couple of minutes left on this. If there's anything else you want to talk about,
Nope. Let's fuck off. No.
I'm just gonna add some clouds and stuff.
Some clouds. What, is he up on his glider having a
Yeah.
little fly around? Do you think Goblin would ever take time to do that? Be like, you know what? I'm the Green Goblin, but I don't know what this voice is. It's like Marge Simpson.
That is Marge Simpson.
I'm the Green Goblin.
Tony, I'm the Green Goblin.
But do you think he's ever just like, I just want to have a ride in the clouds?
I want to be up there where the flowers bloom.
Where babies burp and flowers bloom. Everyone dreams, I can dream too. Up there. Yeah, you're gonna get that in my head.
You're gonna get that in your head, not me.
Someone says I like Rocket Racer. Well, that's okay if you like it.
If you
that's
like him,
awesome.
that's fine.
There's nothing wrong with that. He's not my cup of tea, but you know what? There's plenty of people that like him, and I know he's a villain for Spider-Man outside of the animated series. Someone's asked, when will Spider-Ham come out? I said it on the last episode, didn't I? It's like June something. That's terrible.
I think it's coming out in two weeks.
I think it's a week or 2 weeks, something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone said you should always reference The Simpsons. Yeah, I love The Simpsons. I watch it every morning. I wake up early now, and I start my day with a coffee, and I watch an episode of The Simpsons on Disney Plus, and I've been enjoying that so much. I love The Simpsons. Someone said, have you and Will heard of the phenomenon that took over Twitter after Spider-Verse came out called My Spider-Sona? What would your spider-themed characters be called and look like? I have not heard of that.
No,
have you?
I've not heard of that at all.
No, so after Spider-Verse, My Spider-Sona. So I assume it means like My Spider-Persona.
Why don't you look it up real quick?
Pissy said, "When will you guys have a voice acting opportunity?" That's very kind, but I don't think it's going to be.
I'm just waiting for Marvel to hire me as Wilson Fisk on a new Spider-Man cartoon.
Yeah, but it would have to be like a parody one, no? Because you're like,
No, I mean I could do it a bit more serious. Bring me that Spider-Man.
That's pretty good, actually.
Yeah, I know it's pretty good, but it's actually quite excellent.
Look, don't be cocky.
I will be cocky because even I know it's good, and I hate myself.
Spider Sona. All right, so. Oh, so it's like designing you as a Spider-Man? What is a Spider Sona? The most uplifting phenomenon that encapsulates this is the Spider Sona hashtag. With it, Into the Spider-Verse fans from around the globe have made their own versions of Spider Heroes. Oh, so it's like a Spider-Man or woman from a different dimension, just like Spider-Verse is, like a different universe. The Spider Sona has become a canvas for artists expressing their personality and even cultural identity in the Spider-Verse. So you could even do you as a Spider-Man in the Spider-Verse. It's hard to say what your costume would look like, right? Because I can't describe it so much as like would want to draw it or something.
Well, I love the color grey.
Yeah.
And duck egg. So I'd be a duck egg and grey Spider-Man.
Okay. I'd have a lot of blue in mine, and I'd have red. You know what? I
and
just
a full head of hair.
I'd love I love how you didn't go for it and I'd be skinny. You're like, well, I'd still be fat.
Well, you're not exactly fat, are you?
No, I meant you.
Oh,
when
me?
You decided, yeah. You're like, I'd be duck egg, but I'd still be fat.
Well, I own myself. This is me through and through.
Would you be Spider Duck?
Spider Duck? I feel like Spider-Ham might overshadow me a bit if I'm Spider Duck.
Other than the 90s, we got a question. Other than the 90s animated series, do you have a favorite Spidey suit from the animated shows?
Not from the
animated
but my favorite Spider-Man costume is that 90s Kane costume where it's like the huge spider logo across his whole chest and it goes all the way up his arms and down to his legs.
Are you sure that's not Ben Reilly?
Yeah, Kane. It's the same person, I think.
Oh, really? Does Ben Reilly become Kane?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
So I would say my favorite Spidey suit from animated shows outside of the well, not outside of the 90s series, because I don't mind the Spectacular Spider-Man look. Like, he's a skinnier, younger Spider-Man, which I quite like. And he's got a brighter blue to his costume. So yeah, I'd say outside of the animated series, it would be the Spectacular Spider-Man. But also, I really, really love, in the animated series, the wealthy Peter Parker, like the different universe. Oh god, I can't remember his name now. He's got a particular Spider-Man name.
The Titanium Spidey.
Something like that, yeah. So yeah, I definitely dig that. Goblin's looking great, man.
Yeah, he's pretty much done if you want to wrap up.
Yeah. So anyone listening, even if they've listened to this whole thing, I highly recommend going to RobsonINK, INK, going to this episode, and taking a look at this Goblin, because it's fucking dope.
Thanks, bud. Yeah, I like it too.
I really like that. Like, I'm in such a Goblin mode. Like, I watched Sam Raimi's Spider-Man 1. I've watched this episode. I've watched you draw him. You know what? I'm going to say it, bud. Green Goblin's my favourite Spider-Man villain.
Wow.
He is. I've been watching all this stuff recently, and I'm like, yeah, there's something about him that I just absolutely love. So I'm totally down. And I'm really excited to hopefully see Norman Osborn and the Green Goblin in the MCU at some point soon. You know, like...
Yeah, proper Norman.
Give us a proper Norman, and yeah, and do it right, which I know the MCU will, because they do everything right. Someone says it's really damn good.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm quite proud of it myself, actually.
Yeah, I would be too. Alright, is there anything you want to add before we jet off? Oh, I know what I need to add. Have you seen my Marvel t-shirt today, Smythe? I've been hiding it.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah, I like it. Is there anything you want to add before we jet off?
I just ruined it.
What, the image?
By accident, a little bit, and his eyes. I'll try and fix it.
Alright, well, besides that, is there anything else?
No, there's not.
Alright, well, that's all the time we've got for this week. Thank you for everyone for joining us in the chat today. Really appreciate it. We'll continue doing this for live episodes, but for all of us joining after that, join us next time where we'll continue talking all things Spider-Man, the animated series. Until then, I've been Alex Robson.
I've been Will Robson.
And remember, with a great podcast comes great recordability.
Goodbye, you chumps.
There can only be one Goblin. The Green Goblin.
That's right, mother truckers.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Alright, I have to end the...
Yeah.